From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Final Play, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers, built Ford tough, and by Ron Austin Law.
Hello, everyone. I'm Juan Kincaid. Saints beat the Cowboys 12-10 tonight. Sean Payton is at the podium right now. Let's go there for you.
I mean, look, we did what was necessary tonight, but I was proud of how we played to win this game.
There was a timeout before the last play. At that point,
just a look timeout, yeah, just to see their alignment.
So you decided to blitz even before?
Well, it's a zone pressure with everyone deep still, but that, yeah, I wanted our guys to get a picture of what the last play was going to look like. We had 2 timeouts, so we'll do that once in a while. Just get a snapshot. They got to go back in the huddle, and and they were short in their protection, and the ball came out early.
John, how would you feel like Teddy finding a rhythm because of the offensive line penalties has been tough?
Well, listen, I don't know, who you put in there. It's going to be hard to overcome some of those penalties. Those guys have to get cleaned up, and they're going to get cleaned up. I promise you. It's been too difficult to overcome, and so we've got to be better in that area.
Coach, can you talk about just the defense, the final drive, and you put them out there, field goal wins the game?
Look, our crowd was great. Our crowd was fantastic. I thought we hit the quarterback. We defended well. We had to overcome some tough calls tonight, but that's part of the deal. We can't control that. I thought our guys, defensively, that was something else.
When you go into that 9-minute drive that you had, you go into it feeling like that's what you need?
I'd love to feel like I can dial up a 9-minute drive anytime I want to. You're going to have some balance there. So I think certainly that kind of put advantage back in our court relative to the time.
Sean, you've had so many calls that haven't gone your way. At the end of the first half, to get that fumble on 4th down, where on replay it looked like his elbow might have been down.
Yeah.
How significant was that?
Thought it was big. I think that they're just more judicious relative to changing any calls in New York. I thought about challenging a call in the second half, on their touchdown drive, and I don't, unless it's egregious. So, but I thought it was significant. It was one of the turnovers that I referenced earlier, and my take as I'm evaluating preseason and early into this season, I see a much more conservative approach in New York, and so we have to pay attention to that.
Coach, what can you say about your defense being able to limit a guy like Zeke on 35 yards? Is that something you key in on?
Thought we populated him well. Thought we tackled well. He's a really good running back. I thought we got hats on him, and I'm anxious to watch the film, but I thought we did a really good job.
So the pass interference call you're thinking about challenging on Davis?
Yeah.
So third time this year, Alvin's really kind of turned it on in the second half. Do you think a stronger runner this year than he was his first 2 years?
I think he's more experienced, but I think he's had great strength and balance, since he arrived. Now, the type of games he's in right now are a little different maybe than some of the games we've been in. But again, there's an old saying, it doesn't have to be, aesthetically pleasing to be effective. And I think we did what we needed to do to win tonight, but we're going to have to improve in a number of areas.
What about being able to be 3-1 given the first 4 games being challenging opponents?
Yeah, look, that's the record right now, and there's, that's what it is, and we keep going. There's no stop and acknowledge where we're at, take a bow, and, we're 3-1, and, we've got to get ready to play the next opponent.
John, sometimes games are different than what you anticipate. Was this what you thought?
It's a good question. I thought the type of teams that we're playing, I didn't expect it to be a high-scoring game, but I thought that I probably felt like both offenses might have had the opportunity to score a little bit more, and yet and it unfolded that way. So, yeah, I mean, I was pleased. I was really pleased with how we played defensively against a good offense.
That hurry up offense at the end of that first half, were you kind of disappointed to get 3 out of that? Did you feel like maybe there's some confusion in certain parts of that drive?
Yeah, look, we had a chance to do that last week, and we ended up scoring. So it's an area we got to work on. I think our tempo needs to pick up a little bit, honestly, offensively. I mean, tempo in and out of the huddle, up and down. I just feel like we have to, as coaches, address that and get that going a little quicker. And so, you know, with a new center, a new quarterback, some of these things. This gets back to what I said earlier. You're thinking down the road on, you know, call it G, and you need to back up a little bit and focus on some things that are more important.
When did you know that Sheldon Rankins would be able to go today?
We kind of felt like that target date for the last 3 weeks. We felt it was, you know, he was close. It could have gone last week, but this was the game we felt all along. So, and we wanted to make sure, and you know, we were fortunate he was able to. All right, one more question.
Coach Teddy hits on 70% of his passes. I mean, is he playing the way you want him to play in terms of short?
Yeah, I think he could play better, and I think he would tell you the same thing. But you know, he's won 2 games in a row with it, with understanding what we're doing. But look, he's smart with the football, and sometimes it's a sack. But you know, he made some big plays for us tonight, and we're gonna need him to. And I think he can improve. All of us can improve with the tempo. All right, thanks.
Head coach Sean Payton, welcome into the Final Play. I'm Juan Kincaid. Week 4 of the NFL season found the Saints as the underdog against the Dallas Cowboys, but up for the challenge, obviously, against one of the league's few remaining unbeaten teams. Sean was in with more in just a minute, but we want to get you right to the highlights of this game, and there weren't very many touchdown highlights for any team. Cowboys with the only touchdown, but pick it up here on a 4th and 1 call for Dallas, and they go nowhere. It is stone right there. Saints led 9-3 at the break. That defense with the key 4th and 1 stop. Still in the 4th quarter now, and the Cowboys' first drive of the 4th, 85-yard drive, ends with Ezekiel Elliott getting in for the score, a 10-9 Cowboy lead. But on the ensuing Saints possession, Alvin Kamara, he wasn't great tonight, but he was good enough, especially on a run like this. Bouncing outside, nobody can get him down. 12-yard gain. It would take us to a 3rd and long. Teddy Bridgewater, instead of diving for the first down, he slides. So he's down there. Ball comes out, but he was already down with his knee. They settle for a field goal. Saints led 12-10. Cowboys one last chance. The Hail Mary. They're down 12-10. And how about the pick? The pick right there from Marcus Williams, and that is how the game would end. Saints get the win without a touchdown. Their first time winning a game without a touchdown since 1998. They improved to 3-1 with the 12-10 win. Teddy Bridgewater is now 2-0, filling in for Drew Brees as the starter of this football team. And as I promised, out to the Dome right now, Sean Vazan is standing by live with more on this game. And Sean, the first thing we got to do is give a props to this football team's defense, because we kind of figured tonight, with Teddy facing one of probably the toughest defense he's faced so far, that defense would need to play well, and they did.
Boy, did they ever. I mean, they put forth an A+++ effort tonight. Juan, if you'd have told me the Saints would score 12 points tonight and come away with a victory, I'm not sure I would have believed you if you'd have told me that before the game. But the defense was on point. They took away Ezekiel Elliott. They frustrated Dak Prescott all night. He was struggling figuring out the coverages. They disguised their looks very well. They blitzed him when they had to. They hit him when they had to. And it just came up with big play after big play after big play. And we said in the Fox 8 Sports office earlier tonight, they had to get takeaways to win this game, and that's exactly what they did.
They got 3 turnovers tonight, Sean. They get the 1 sack, which came late, which was a huge play. But on the other side of the ball, look, there wasn't a lot of offense to speak of, but they ran the ball late when they needed to. Alvin Kamara, 17 carries, 69 yards. Listen, it's never going to be pretty when you play a team like Dallas that's good on both sides of the ball, especially on defense. But to be able to run the ball with Kamara late in the game, run some clock, that was key.
I absolutely agree. Look, sometimes you got to win with field position and defense and ball control. Special teams, I thought they did a great job with field position. We just talked about the defense. And offensively, they were content, especially in that second half, of playing a little ball control, moving the sticks, taking their time. They weren't great, as far as yardage running the football, but they made the big runs when they had to run it. It had to run it, and it really made a difference in the second half.
And Sean, one more thing quickly on the offensive line. Look, Teddy wasn't fantastic, but a lot of the problems was he didn't have much time back there in the backfield to even find someone. The offensive line's got to get its holes fixed. There are some problems up there, a ton of holding calls, 9 penalties, I believe, for 80 yards. Sean Payton has recognized this is the third week in a row they've struggled along the offensive line.
Well, exactly, and it's 3 weeks in a row now. So 1's an accident, 2's a trend, 3 is a problem, right? So, and regardless if you don't think or you do think it's holding calls or not, they're getting flagged. So the offensive line is going to have to adjust their style of play, so they're not putting these vulnerable spots for these holding calls. So, look, it could have cost them tonight had it not been for the excellent effort by the defense. So that's something that must get corrected because it's way too many penalties on the offensive line.
All right, Sean, thank you very much. We do appreciate that. Much more from the Dome in just a bit. Waiting on Teddy Bridgewater to come to the podium, and we'll have much more on this Saints win. 12-10 over the Dallas Cowboys. They're now 3-1 on the season after a 4-game stretch here where the team didn't have Drew Brees. All right, coming up, much more here on the Final Play in just a bit. But first, Saints fans who want to see their team spirit on television can head.
You're watching the Final Play.
As promised, back out to the Superdome now. Quarterback Teddy Bridgewater at the podium.
Hats off to the defense that they create turnovers and holding those guys' offense. We know how great their offense has been this year. So hats off to the defense for just accepting the challenge this week and answering.
They had a couple of really good scrambles tonight. What does it feel like to scramble out in the open field, considering where you were a few years ago?
Oh man, it feels great, but that's something that I have to continue to get better at. There's some times where I have to just live to see another down. I may be trying to find an outlet to scramble and end up taking a sack. But on the plays that, I'm able to get out of the pocket and just run free, that's a great thing to be able to, bring that extra tool to the table. When things maybe taking over downfield, to be able to use my legs to keep plays alive. But it's just something that we all have to just get, comfortable with, whether it's me being in the game, knowing where I'm going to drop, how deep I'm going to get in the pocket, and if things break down, my escape lane. So we always have to be on the same page.
How important is it that Alvin does what he's been doing in the second half, especially lately? It seems like he's kind of put forward.
Yeah, Alvin, we know how special he is. And he's a guy who worked extremely hard. He's one of the smartest football players I've ever been around. And to watch him just bounce off tackles, catch the ball out of the backfield, make plays for his offense. He's so valuable to his offense, and we're glad he's on our team.
Teddy, you've obviously been really safe with the football and value that. Internally, I guess, in your mind, how do you balance when to take a risk and, when to just make it and run or take the sack?
Yeah, so it all depends on matchups and when opportunity presents itself. Early in the game today, we had an opportunity and we took some shots down the field. We were able to hit Mike Thomas on a couple back shoulder throws. But playing against a defense like Dallas, they're a sound defense. We know that they get depth in their zones and try to keep things in front of them. So, we understand that we may not be able to push the ball down the field, but when they do come up and play man coverage and things like that, we have to take advantage of those matchups, and we tried to do that today. But for me, it's just about, understanding that, my job is to get the ball to the playmakers and, allow those guys on the outside, our tight ends, our running backs to make plays. And, whether it's me, dumping it down to Alvin and he's running for 7 yards or hitting Mike Thomas on the back shoulder, my job is just to get the ball to those guys and allow them to make plays.
Teddy, you mentioned earlier this week that a lot of people talk about stats that for you it's just about getting wins. How do you kind of think about how you play today, especially after big wins?
I base everything around my past couple years. The past couple years, I had 0 stats. Stat box had 0 in every column. But the one stat that did add up for me over the past couple of years were the W's. I was winning in life. So whenever I approached the game with that mindset, like, man, I'm not playing this game for the numbers. I don't care to impress anyone, sorry to say fantasy teams and things like that. But, I play this game for those guys in that locker room. We all come here to the stadium the one thing on our mind, that's to win the football game and to help this team win football games. So I understand the league is evolved into, numbers and things like that, but the most important number in this game is the wins column. And we've been able to win 2 games back-to-back against tough opponents. The first 4 games we played this year have been against playoff teams, and we walk away from the stretch 3-1. So, I could care less about the numbers. I'll leave the numbers to Mike Thomas, Alvin Kamara, those guys. They can put up the numbers. My job right now is to just help this team win football games.
How valuable was it that you're on the sidelines today versus last week where you had
It's always great to see Drew and to ask him questions as the game is going on. Like, hey, man, what's something you may be seeing right now? And like I said last week, he mentioned to me at halftime, hey, completions are good. Just take completions, explore your matchups that you like, and just play fast. So to have him here in my presence physically, just a big asset to us.
And Saints quarterback Teddy Bridgewater talking after the game. He's 2-0 as the Saints starter. They're now 3-1 on the season. More Final Play coming up in just a bit. We'll check in on the Pelicans. Stay with us.
You're watching The Final Play.
The Pelicans are trying their best to keep the focus away from Zion Williamson and on the rest of the team led by Drew Holiday. We will find out soon enough if that approach is working, because the Pels, with Zion as the fans headliner, will open camp tomorrow. Chris Hagan has more on what to look out for.
From trades to a large draft class and free agency, this season's Pelicans will look nothing like they did a year ago, except for Drew Holiday.
We've gone pretty far to explain to everybody we're going to be built around Drew, and Drew's personality lends itself to that. There's no give up in him whatsoever. He's been as all in our group as you possibly can be, and we want our team to play to that image.
But image is where the tug of war with the Pelicans' words and the outside perception begins, because the image we're seeing, from billboards to the Jordan brand and now Gatorade, is Zion Williamson.
There's going to be enormous amounts of hype and buzz around him, and nothing we do can keep that from happening. But the reality of how we are built and culturally what our expectations of one another are, that's meaningful to us.
What Vice President David Griffin means is the Pelicans are going to ignore the noise and focus on themselves. And the way he describes Zion, that shouldn't be a problem for their newest superstar.
Zion's native game is if he scores 4 points and gets 8 rebounds and we win the game, he's going to be really comfortable with that. He's not about touches. He's not about scoring. So he doesn't have a statistical dominance in mind. That's not how he plays. So he's one of these kids that if we're winning, he's going to be really happy if he's accretive to that. And he doesn't want the burden of carrying a team. He's 19. He didn't want that emotionally either. So I think we're really blessed that he's about the right things and understands that this is Drew's team.
That understanding also extends to the rest of the squad, where like Griffin and Zion, several others are ready to begin a new chapter as well. Maybe no one's more excited for a fresh start than Lonzo Ball, who's made it clear that he's making the decisions for his own career now and not his dad.
People always get in fights with their parents. I mean, that's old news. We're good now. It's a little business, mishap, but we move forward.
Which seems to be the theme of the team. Give to the city and the community, and the fans will give back all the support you could want. Because at the end of the day, with their schedule, the Pelicans will need it.
The important thing is to keep in mind we're in a historically good Western Conference, and you can play awfully well and be the 5 seed, and you can play awfully well and be 10. And that won't, if you're 10, it won't change the fact that you've built something and laid a groundwork for the future.
With a mentality like that, the future should be bright for basketball in the Big Easy. Reporting on the Pelicans, I'm Chris Hagan for The Final Play.
Chris, thank you. Coming up, we'll have our play of the week and head back to the Dome to hear more from Sean Mazan. And we'll have more Saints talk for you tomorrow morning on your Monday commute. Subscribe to the Fox 8 Overtime podcast so that you automatically get the episode we record later tonight and listen to that at your convenience. You can find our podcast on fox8live.com, the Final Play app, and wherever you listen to your podcast. Stay with us.
Time now for your play of the week, sponsored by Ron Austin Law.
Today is an opportunity. This game is an opportunity. Every rep, every play, every throw, every catch, seize the opportunity. Every tackle, every step, seize the opportunity. go, let's go in. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Demario Davis doing his thing in place of Drew Brees. That takes us to our Players of the Week nominees for high school. Curtis quarterback Colin Guggenheim, 4 touchdown runs in Curtis's 36-22 win over St. Aug. Holy Cross QB John Wooten, he had 4 touchdown passes in their big win over Shaw. And Rummel's defense, give it up for them, for 7 turnovers against Ruston. They beat Ruston 41-0. Go to fox8live.com/player to vote. Voting opens tomorrow and ends on Wednesday. And remember to join us bright and early tomorrow for all of the Deuce McAllister you can handle. But before we get to that, Sean Vazan is back at the Dome right now with more analysis. Sean, let's talk about Teddy Bridgewater for a second. He is a guy that, look, I think you're seeing what you're going to get from Teddy. He didn't have many mistakes tonight. The interception that happened wasn't really his fault. He had 193 yards passing, no touchdowns. Has Sean Payton gotten together the right kind of playbook for him?
Yes, I think you saw the last 2 weeks. It's ball control. He had, I think it was 4.3 yards per pass today. A lot of safe passes. No, he did make a couple throws downfield, 2 back shoulder throws to Michael Thomas in the first half. Really jumps out. But for the most part, it's going to be a ball control, take care of the football, make good decisions, find your checkdowns. You got to have a stronger run game. You got to have some good defense. And they had 36 minutes of time possession to Dallas's 23 tonight. So that's the formula. And you know what? They're 3-1 right now. So it's working. And in this window, however long Drew Brees is out, that's what they're going to have to do with Teddy Bridgewater, quarterback. You know now. I mean, we've seen enough.
Cannot complain. 3-1 start with Teddy on the center. He's 2-0 as a starter. Sean, thank you very much. Nice job tonight. Remember to join us bright and early tomorrow morning for all the Deuce McAllister you can handle. His Black and Gold Rewind at 8 a.m., his 2-minute drill at 5, and tomorrow night, 10:35, join us for the all-inclusive Black and Gold Review show with Deuce, Sean, and myself. And that's our show for tonight. For all of us here at Fox 8, I'm Juan Kincaid. We hope you'll join us again next Sunday night for the Final Play.